Guys, how's it going? Dan Francis Owen here, hope you're good. Back with another real life gig advice video. Today we're going to be talking about 4 ways in which you can look after your hearing. Now guys, in this video I'm going to be mainly talking about the use of IEMs. IEMs is short for in-ear monitors. Now guys, this is serious. You need to take care of your hearing because once it's gone forever, right? And we are like right on the front line of dealing with loud noises all the time. Not just bass players, all musicians. We're dealing with it on a constant basis and we need to be aware of precautions that we need to take. And this goes, for tinnitus. And I'm not just talking about hearing loss, I'm talking about tinnitus. So I'm going to talk you through what I do to take care of my hearing when I'm using in-ear monitors. So let's set the scene. So we're at a sound check. Now guys, when you're using in-ear monitors, it's vital that you get your sound check right, because when you get on the gig, if you've got to use both hands to play and you've got molded in-ear monitors right in there, it's going to be very difficult for you to adjust it. Number 1, the first thing that I do, so you'll get your pack, right? So we're in lockdown in the UK, so I've not got access to my lockup and with all my stuff. So what I'll do is I'll try and put like a little picture or something near here to show you what I mean by a pack. But a pack is like, it could be wireless, it could be wired, and generally it'll have just a volume on and off, or an on and off switch and a volume, and you stick that onto your trousers, or you stick it onto the back of your dress if you're a girl, So as soon as I get my pack, what I do is I put it on the back of my trousers, and I don't concern myself with it straight away. I just concern myself with setting myself up and making sure that my area, my instruments are all plugged in and everything's working. If I'm using an amp, I've got my settings right and everything like that. When I do come to turning on my pack, what I do is I turn it on, but I make sure that the volume is right down until like the engineer starts sending like a test track to your ears or something. And the reason that I do this is because I don't want any surprises. If I've got my in-ears in and I've got the pack on and I've turned it up to where I think I'm going to want to have it on the gig at like 3 o'clock or something like that, something crazy loud. Think about it, the nature of sound check, what's going on, you're checking everything. Guitar players will be like clicking through patches, and like keyboard player clicking through patches and sounds, and they might be testing stuff. And these sounds or patches that they're working through, they might not even be for that gig, and they might not be balanced for that gig. So you might have a patch that they have for another gig, which is, this is your gig, and the level of this other patch is up here. And if you've got your pack really high and you're ready to go, like for the gig, it's going to blow your head off unexpectedly, and it's going to cause you some ear trauma. Basically, you just got to play it safe with the volume right, start really quiet. And then when you can sense that everybody's like settled and everybody's settled within the zone, that's when you can start to creep it up a little bit, creep up the volume a little bit to where you might want to have it for the gig. Number 2, be aware of the nature of different instruments which are on your gig. Now, like I'd say like in a pop setting, for example, where I think that I've got to pay a little bit more attention is to like singers and horn players, for example. Most singers and most horn players, like trumpet players, what they'll do at soundcheck is they'll try and save the chops, because these instruments, if they are like overworked, it could cause fatigue, which could affect the performance. So for singers and horn players in soundchecks, personally what I tend to do is I tend to turn them down a little bit, because when it comes to the gig, they're going to be ready to play, they're going to have loads of energy, and they're going to bring it. So I just take that into consideration. Singers and horn players, listen, I see you and nothing but love for you, alright. Number 3, where the mics are on stage, what they are miking, and what other things that they could pick up as well. Generally, if you have an in-ear monitor engineer, they'll know how to make things sound amazing. But more and more nowadays, people are doing it themselves, and you might have an app where you're like flicking through your own mix and sorting it out yourself, which can be very efficient. So for example, for me, I like to make sure that I am stood next to the drum kit most of the time as a bass player. You know, I like to make sure that I'm on the hi-hat side of the kit, and in my mix, I'd say the most prominent thing that I want from the kit is hi-hat, kick, and snare. Then everything else is kind of auxiliary. You know, overheads, tom mics. If I've got to do a gig and they are the only three elements of the drum kit that I can have in my mix, they are the three: hi-hat, kick, and snare. But I am aware that the overheads which are on the drum kit, you know, they might pick up like a horn player, or they might pick up a guitar amp. You might have a bit of spill, you know, from like the room or wherever. Just have an awareness of the direction of the microphone, and also what else is going on around it, which when you look at your mixer, if you're mixing in overheads, you might get a trumpet player like blasting out like top C's or whatever. Number 4, in-ear monitors are not 100% isolating. So you are likely to be able to hear cymbals or a horn player or a really loud guitar player or something like that. You know, it's going to isolate you from a lot of stuff, but not everything. Think about the instruments that you have on stage and also your proximity to them. So for example, me as a bass player, my preference is to be like on the hi-hat side of the drum kit, and I know that, you know, I can hear enough cymbals from where I'm stood. I don't want to like crank up the overheads and then get on the gig and the drummer's full of energy and he's like absolutely caning it, and I've got all these cymbals in my ears and I can still hear them on stage as well. You know, I just don't need it. With that type of scenario, you've got to be a little bit sensible about that. You've got to enjoy it. Like, don't get me wrong, enjoy it, but also this is something you're hearing, and that type of thing is something that you've got to take into consideration. So the moral of the story, guys, is look after your hearing. You've just got to be clever about it. With these 4 things, you can be in control of elements which are going to affect the health of your hearing. And in the music game, guys, you've got to enjoy it, obviously, but, you know, we're looking for longevity. We want to be able... I love music and I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I'm sure you guys want to do it for the rest of your lives as well. So think about longevity, think about the future, keeping yourself in shape. Guys, I hope that was beneficial. I wish somebody told me this type of stuff. So look after yourselves when you're working. Alright, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next week. Alright, take it easy. Nice one.